And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Salutations, boy me mateys, what's going on? Welcome back to another week of RBLR Bucs, the spot where Tampa football gets broken down the right way. I'm Musab, one of your co-hosts tonight, and folks, we're a few weeks in now into the Buccaneers offseason, and the league's starting to show its hand, with just Super Bowl left now. So that being said, this week we're going to be zooming out a little bit of that big picture around the league, trends or things you should be paying attention to, and maybe how it all ties back to the Buccaneers and why Tampa Bay is very much still in the middle of the conversation of it all. Not really, but anyways, same energy though, same breakdown, same accountability. So shout out to the whole RBLR crew, holding it down week in, week out. If you rock with us, tap in, share the show, and let us know your thoughts. We're always in the comments. Even if you're listening to this afterwards, please do let us know, what you think, and if we're wrong, or if we should never, do a podcast again. No, we'll still be here no matter what the haters say. But hey, let's get into it. Enough from me. First up, the man bringing the heat, never afraid to say how it is. My guy Zach Blaine, what's going on?
What is up, man? I'm just happy to be back. Last week, we got snowed out, iced out a little bit. I'm just happy to be here, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was biking the other day, and it was a beautiful sunny day here in Florida, and I thank God, man. I hate to bring religion into this, but I thank God, man, that I was in Florida.
Yeah, no,
man.
It sucked here.
I saw, dude. It was bad, dude, everywhere. Honestly, it really was. It was like really, really bad, and just, yeah, man. I've just seen a whole lot. So, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to come back around. We're supposed to get snow this weekend, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, tonight's show brings you a little bit of sunshine.
Cross, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, I got to introduce the final puzzle piece of this iconic trio we got going on. The detail guy, the perspective that always ties it back to Tampa the right way, Mr. Carter Brantley. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Mr. Tariq. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Long time no see. Yes, indeed.
Long time no see, indeed. Yeah. Excited to talk some football with y'all. It's been an interesting week for sure. A lot of shifting around in the coaching world. That carousel, it's spinning. So we'll touch on that just for a second before we get into something fun. We're going to do some all-pro teams, but in this case, I guess all RBLR teams, you could call them, but it's all-pro RBLR version. We'll get the second team first this week, and we'll get into the first team next week. But before we talk about all that, Joe Brady promoted to head coach of the Bills, and Todd Monken, he is now the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I did kind of want to, Zach, I wanted to throw this question your way first, because I know you probably weren't as happy with the Zach Robinson hiring, which, I get. It's not super fun. It's not super game-changing or anything like that. But at the same time, they could be like the Eagles and not have any offensive coordinator at all. And
hey, listen, we could be. And I don't know that I'd be as mad at that. Like, I don't even know how to feel about Zach Robinson. It just catches me off guard when I see Tampa's thought about how to get better is to hire somebody who was technically a little bit worse. That was the part that got me with Zach Robinson. It wasn't even him as a whole. It was just that offense was statistically worse than our offense. Yet, while it may have been marginally, just didn't seem like the key to success to me was the biggest issue with Zach Robinson.
Yeah, it's hard to push back against that too much. I guess the only thing that I can, the only silver lining that you can offer for this is that he does have more of a prior connection with Baker. He has the Sean McVay influence that seems to have the goal. His coaching tree is pretty fun. So if you want to try to reach for something positive to cling on to, I think those two would be things that you could try to, convince yourself that that's a good move.
But theoretically, wasn't Grizzard around with Cohen.
Yeah, that's a good response.
So
Yeah,
he had just as much, probably
Right.
theoretically more experience with Mayfield than Robinson.
Yeah,
but at least with Zach Robinson, he actually has play calling experience.
That's
I
true,
mean,
too.
he had a pretty solid year before this last one, and I mean, it was just it was weird, god awful actually for the Falcons this past season. But I mean, he has proven something. Unlike Josh Grizzard, I mean, Zach, I'm not super all jolly about this either, but there's only so much we can do when guys are already joining other teams. I know obviously McDaniel was the big one.
Right.
That was the kind of the big miss. Yeah.
Because the Eagles could now end up hiring Grizzard. Like that's the guy that the Eagles hire,
Can't necessarily be mad at McDaniels for not coming to Tampa. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to be coming in behind a lame duck coach either.
Sure.
Like I understand that it gives you the higher road to becoming the next head coach.
Right. I got him going to LA. Yeah.
Yeah, like him going to LA, like good on him. He gets to work with a quarterback he likes. Thank God for him. He's not had a quarterback since he's been a head coach. So like good on him, but at the same time, you saw what happened with Gerard Mayo. There's no such thing as a coach in waiting anymore. Like you get one and done season, and Todd Bowles probably isn't correcting the ship. So maybe he wouldn't even be an offensive coordinator after next year.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. The Philly situation is just such a mess right now, and they won the Super Bowl last year. Like it's just it's crazy to me that they're still kind of sitting there and trying to figure some stuff out in that regard. Like whether I don't know. There's a bunch of different reasons that it could be, but regardless, it's I don't know. I'd rather have it settled than have the Bucs just sitting there waiting and not really sure. I think we would still be even more frustrated if they hadn't hired anyone at this point because what's the wait? You're waiting on Shieldhouse or I don't even know of any Patriots coaches that they would hire. But yeah, so I don't know. It's an interesting perspective for sure. But I thought Todd Monken going to Cleveland was odd. I don't know. It was weird that Jim Schwartz is out as defensive coordinator now.
Out of all the coaching decisions, that's been the one that did not make sense. I did not expect Monken to have any sort of head coaching offers, if I'm being completely honest. So seeing that news today kind of blew my mind.
Well, and apparently, like this is just another rumor, sort of. But the thing that I saw on Twitter or something somewhere was that ownership stepped in and made the call because the GM, which again, this isn't the first time they've done something like this. The GM wanted to hire Steelhouse, the Rams guy, and the owner stepped in and was like, "No, I want Monken," and so that's what they did. And the last time they intervened on a decision like this, they ended up trading 3 first-round picks and giving a guy over $250 million just so he can play 6 games or however many games he's played. So it's things are only going down in Cleveland, and you didn't think they could get worse, and yet they might just do that. So
there you go, Cleveland fans. But hey, Sanders is a Pro Bowl quarterback, baby.
Hey, he went from Lamar to a Pro Bowler. That's
wow.
What he's going to. But anyways, enough of the depressing coaching talk. It's time to talk about something fun because we've got some All-Pro teams, the RBLR vote, and we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. There are certain positions that are a little bit not contentious, but a little bit more diverse than others. There's some unanimous across the board with some of these positions, but on offense, there's a little bit of variety. I think we'll have some fun discussions, just some fun back and forth. And we'll start with the most important position, most interesting position, arguably what's going to be the MVP, quarterback. And Zach and Musab, y'all had the same. I had a different one. Y'all make your defense of the second team selection for Drake May, I'm guessing is who y'all went with. Musab, we'll start with you, man. What was your thought process behind picking Drake May?
I mean, the first thing was, Stafford just had an absolutely legendary season. So it's just really the next guy up. So I had him right behind Stafford. I mean, he, for what it's worth, his second year, just overall efficiency and, deep ball accuracy, he was super accurate, and just rebuilding the whole Patriots team. Young quarterback as well. I mean, he's got the talent under pressure, just what he's done. I mean, he had an absolute baller season, and He was a huge factor in, this Patriots' success, and it's crazy. I mean, this guy's going to the Super Bowl now, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, second year last year they were
Yeah.
bottom 5 teams in football. Like, yeah, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff for sure. Obviously, this is just a regular season award because he has not played well in the postseason. He has not played. So if the
It's kind of atrocious, in all honesty.
yeah, if the voting took place or if voting incorporated playoff play, like, yeah, Matthew Stafford would be my first team selection and Drake May would be my second team selection. But I went with Stafford just because, I don't know, I think Drake May had a great year. And if you want to, like, they're 1A, 1B, like, I really flipped a coin basically. And I figured I might as well be different because if we had all Stafford or all Drake May, then we'd be kind of boring, So, yeah, I picked Matthew Stafford for my second team. I'll pick Drake May for my first team. Spoiler alert. But Mr. Blaine, you have some kind of defense or an argument against it, or what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I did mine solely off of, I think they were like, 300 yards apart in total yards.
Right.
Like, it wasn't anything crazy. It was the 10 extra touchdowns that Stafford threw. Same amount of interceptions, just 10 more touchdowns.
Yeah.
While I know that Drake May technically had a higher QBR, I do think that Matthew Stafford played a more important role in his team because I feel like he carried them a lot. Granted, they have great wide receivers, not taking anything away from them, but Drake May had an outstanding defense behind him this year. So that's why I kind of gave mine. You nailed it on the head. It's a kind of a flip of a coin. Like, maybe I'm just tired of seeing the Patriots have good quarterbacks. Like, yeah. I'm cool with them not having a potential Hall of Famer one day. Like, I'm good with it.
That's a perfectly valid reason that's more valid than anything else I've ever heard. Just screw the Patriots. Yep. I'm with that. I like it. Yeah. Stafford had an excellent season too. I mean, the passing yards and the passing touchdowns, the low interception total for a while. I know it crept up there towards the end of the season with some kind of iffy performances against the Falcons and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a really interesting MVP race too. So, we'll see how it plays out in the awards as well. And now we move on to the running back position. Just as a preface, we didn't follow the all-pro positions with I forget what they called it. Was it gadget or like, I don't know. It was some weird way to try to include Christian McCaffrey, basically. I wasn't really into it. So
spot on, though.
Yeah, we're just doing running back and then wide receiver, tight end, and then we'll get into the offensive line. But starting with running back, Zach Blaine, you and I were in agreement on this one, Bijan Robinson. So what'd you see from how good was Bijan this year? Huh? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest with you. We were in agreement. I think I'm changing mine, brother.
Really? Okay.
I think Bijan makes first team for me.
Wow.
Yep. I've been so high on Jonathan Taylor all year. But then I realized that Bijan had almost 800 or had over 800 receiving yards as well. And I think that man is the most valuable player on that team. Whereas Jonathan Taylor had a really good start of this season, he kind of died off once Daniel Jones got hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor, second team. Another kind of flip the coin thing. I was thinking about it today, and I was looking. I was like, yeah, me and Carter have the same guy. I think it's a good pick. And I started looking at some more, and I was looking like yards are important. So James Cook got brought into the conversation. Then I realized he fumbled the ball 6 times. And it's like, so I'm going Jonathan Taylor, 18 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Like, I think 3rd in the league in rushing yards. Very important to the team, but did kind of fall off towards the end of the year. I believe he had like a wild streak of 2 touchdown games. He was a stud, but I do think Bijan's rushing or receiving yards. Shocker. Next week, he's going to be my number 2 guy or my number 1 guy.
Yeah, no, hey, I like it a lot because it's going to provide, I think, a lot of diversity, a lot of interesting things to talk about next week. Because I went with Bijan for my second team, and I'm going with Jonathan Taylor for my first team. But like you said, they were both so stinking good. I mean, they were both really, really valuable and really important to their teams. Even though both their teams missed the playoffs, it was not because of these guys.
Exactly.
Mr. Trook, you were the lone. Well, not anymore, but you disagree with both of us and went with Mr. Cook for this second team spot. And I gotta admit, he was a very close third. So what stood out for Cook for you that made him give him the edge over Robinson or Jonathan Taylor?
Well, for me, yeah, I mean, I got Robinson at number one. I mean, Robinson just absolute animal in every way possible. So he was my one. But to me, I think I got to respect what what Zach said with the whole fumble situation. It's rather depressing to see. If I was a Bills fan, but it was kind of neck and neck with Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. But the thing is, after Daniel Jones going out, I felt like Jonathan Taylor wasn't the Jonathan Taylor. He didn't get the opportunity, and just a lot of other factors.
It was a lot easier for them to key in on stopping Jonathan Taylor as opposed to having.
I mean, it's just like you're like a deer in headlights, kind of situation. So that's why I went James Cook. I mean, he was just a big factor. I mean, he had 12 games with 100+ scrimmage yards, tied the most in the NFL. So I just think, for what it's worth, he I think it was like a contract extension or
because he was sitting out to start the year.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not the regular season, but into preseason.
Big statement. I mean, it was kind of a big statement year for him, and that's why I got Cook. But I think all of those three are all up there.
Yeah, if had it not been for the fumbles, James Cook would have been my RB1 this year. I think that he's a great player, led the league in rushing, which is, I mean, obviously you do that for a reason. But the 6 fumbles just pushed me away from him because I think he had 12 touchdowns. It just wasn't enough for me to go, okay, I can let those slip, but I think it's a great choice either way.
Yeah. This was a really tough position. There are a lot of really tough positions. I mean, we're going to get into wide receiver and pass rusher, and my goodness, I mean, I think there were like 8 to 10 guys for wide receiver and edge that we could have really realistically picked for both second and first team. But we'll start with the wide receiver. We went with 3 on each team. So 3 on this second team. I went with George Pickens, Zay Flowers, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. George Pickens, my goodness, he is going to get a very hefty payday, and deservedly so. He kind of had some weird years in Pittsburgh. He was kind of like looked at as sort of the ugly stepchild, so to speak. He kind of had, people were saying, oh, he's a head case, or like, oh, he doesn't play hard or whatever. Like, I don't really care about any of that if he's going to play the way he did in Dallas this year. He was insane. 3rd in expected points added and 10th in yards per route run. But he could easily be a first-team guy for me. Like, he was very much on that bubble. I kind of had him interchangeable with a lot of the first-team guys. But Zay Flowers, he was the best wide receiver on that Ravens team, 5th in yards per route run. He was really good. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was 4th in target share, so he was a big part of that Lions offense, as well as yards per route run. So some really impressive performances from those 3 wide receivers. But Mr. Tariq, who'd you have for your 3 wide receivers on the second team?
Yeah, man, I'm going there right there with you with Pickens and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Pickens had a damn good year, especially now with the now you joined the Cowboys. So I just think that there's a first team of monsters who rightfully so deserve to be ahead of him. That's why I think he fits right well being in the second team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, just the slot king we know. I mean, he was just, again, an animal. And then I'm actually going Chris Olave. I thought he for what it's worth, being on such a poverty team, I feel like he was he did what he could. His separation win rate was like in the high 60s or something. So deep threat, and also I think he was like a 3rd down machine. So overall, I mean, I think there is a handful of guys, but I figured I'd be a little different and toss him in there.
No, hey, Chris Olave is a very, very under the radar choice because he's dealt with so much just quarterback tumultuous things, offensive coordinators changing constantly. I mean, he's dealt with some tough stuff, and yet he's top 10 in receiving yards. He had a really, really excellent year this year. So no, absolutely. I'm glad someone found a spot for him because he had a great year as well. He's definitely worthy of some recognition. And Mr. Blaine, that leaves you. Who are your 3 wide receivers for the second team?
I'll start with Amon-Ra because Musab also had him. Same reasons. Guy was kind of a stud all year, as he always is. Like, he's one of the most consistent receivers, I think, recently. Sorry, I got the kids talking in the background.
No worries.
Then I've got Jamar Chase, fourth in receiving yards with 14-12, third in yards per game. Like, I think that even with all the issues that the Bengals had this year with Burrow getting hurt and just not being great, he's still put up solid numbers. And then my third one, kind of shocked no one else had him, but I got Jamison Williams.
I like it.
Yeah, he only had 65 catches, which is significantly less than like the higher guys above him. Still had over 1,000 yards. 23, or he had 23 big plays, which is second. Big plays consist of any pass or any catch bigger than 20 yards or longer than 20 yards, I think would be the proper terminology there. So that's got him as second place with 65 receptions. The two in first place had more receptions than Williams had targets. So I think that says something to me. Not to mention he was, I believe he was, let's see, second. So fourth in yards per catch was the other big one for me. I think 17 something yards per catch. He was just a big play machine. So that's why I've got him as my number 3 guy.
No, I love it. I love the fact that we all had like a different third guy. You know, we had kind of the main two. Like Jamar Chase is going to be on my first team, so Jamar is very much in the mix for me. And I don't want to speak for Musa, but I'd imagine he might be in the mix for you as well for your first team. So, you know, these are all guys that are pretty like, okay, yep, they're, you know, they deserve to be here. But that third spot on the wide receivers list, you know, that, or the 6th spot, I guess, if you want to incorporate both teams, it's very much up for grabs. You know, I know I went with Zay Flowers and Musa went with Chris Olave. Jamison Williams, very, very.
No, I like that choice just because unlike the rest of them, you know, if you look at the stats, I mean, the rest of them have like a 28 to like 35% target share.
Yes, 100%.
Jamison Williams, he's like 18, 19%.
Yeah, so he's the number 2
cooking. Yeah.
And
that was the biggest thing that drew me to him on my list was the fact that like he's getting a quarter of what these other guys are getting and producing at the level that they all are. I think that he was the best receiver on the Lions, and I like Amon-Ra. But I think that if he's a little bit smaller than Amon-Ra, which I think leads for him to be more injury prone, kind of like our situation with Tez Johnson. Like Tez Johnson could be a weapon in Tampa, but like you're 160 pounds, brother. And that might be giving you a few pounds.
Of course.
So I think seeing him produce at such a high level with such a small sample size, I say small, 65 catches on 102 targets is still – like you're getting targets, but just not to the level that these other guys are. Yeah,
no, that's completely rational, and I really like that we included him because he deserved it. You know, he's a very kind of can't say under the radar for a guy that's as explosive as he is because he gets all the highlights and like Jamison Williams, really really fun player. So, but yeah, he definitely deserves a shout out for sure. So now that'll move us to the tight end spot. I had George Kittle. I know he went down with the injury in the playoffs, but man, he had a great year. He's still one of the best blocking tight ends in football. I mean, him and Juszczyk are a big reason why San Francisco can run the football as effectively as they do, despite the fact that, they kind of run a bunch of different guys back there, like Brian Robinson Jr. and Christian McCaffrey this year, but in years past, Isaac Gwendo, I think, or whatever his name is, and just a million different running backs, and yet they all seem to have pretty consistent performances. So he's a big reason why, and he's also still a very good receiving tight end as well. Like I said, 4th in yards per route run and 7th in total expected points added. So he was really good, and so he's my second team. But Zach Blaine, I loved your choice. So give your guy some love right here.
Yeah, I went Tyler Warren. Rookie guy, obviously. I think he made such an impact on the Colts this season. I think he was a big part of Jonathan Taylor being such a successful – I mean, not that Jonathan Taylor's not been a stud previous years, but I think that he stepped in as a true tight end one. I believe he was 4th in the league in receiving yards for tight ends. I believe it was why am I blanking on the Cardinals tight end?
Oh, Trey McBride.
Yeah. Shocker. He'll be my first team guy. Yeah, I know we're giving away a lot of secrets, but
but that's okay. We'll still talk about it next week.
The only other two ahead of him were Juwan Johnson with the Saints, which kind of shocked me. And actually, he was sort of in my running for second team guy.
Absolutely.
And then Travis Kelce, who got a bunch of, I would consider garbage time yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he also had, I want to say it was 7 touchdowns this year, 6 or 7 touchdowns. And as a rookie tight end, I feel like those are great numbers to have. And he's only going to go up from here. Mm-hmm. So this is almost like a reward, an award for like, hey, we know you're going to get better and you'll be on the first team in a couple years. But
yeah,
I think that he's planted himself his rookie year and already said like, hey, look, I'm that guy this year.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I really love that we got a rookie on this list because I know that, it's tough to include those guys sometimes because, they're not always going to have the highest impact. They're not always going to have the biggest, the biggest opportunities necessarily as some of the more established players on these lists. But yeah, Tyler Warren, my goodness, he was a big part of why the Colts were so good, especially at the beginning of the year. But Musab Tariq, you had a different guy than both of us, and we haven't even mentioned him yet. So give your guy some love.
Absolutely. I think it's your favorite fantasy football player, Carter.
That's right.
Mr. Kyle Pitts. Listen, man, he finally unleashed, dude. I feel like we finally saw the Kyle Pitts that, football fans were hoping for. Racked up like 88 receptions, almost 1,000 yards. Only had 5 touchdowns. But the big thing for me is I just feel like he, unlike many others, he's a big vertical threat. You know what I'm saying? So, rightfully so. I mean, you have to put him behind, someone like Trey McBride, but just the speed, as a receiver, it scares you. So he had phenomenal games against my Buccaneers or our Buccaneers, which was so depressing to see. But I don't know, man. I feel like this was his year. But again, a lot of great tight end talent. Definitely a good choice with Tyler Warren. I feel like we've been blessed these last 2 years to see some special tight ends. This year, Tyler Warren. Last year, Brock Bowers. So yeah, man.
Yeah, even Harold Fannin for the Browns had a really impressive.
Oh, true. Yeah,
he was. Had he had better quarterback play, he would have been probably second on the list.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just dealing with the nonsense that he was. Yeah, you're unfortunately it's out of your control sometimes as a player. But he had a really he was a great pick for the Browns. Like as much as like we were talking about, their ownership is weird, but man, their front office can make some good picks. Unfortunately, they just haven't been able to find that quarterback. But my goodness, he had a great year. But Tyler Warren and even Colson Loveland. I mean, I know that he might not have been nearly as good as Tyler Warren, but he was still very good. Definitely worthy of that first round pick that the Bears gave him. So a lot of really good tight ends. And then offensive line, we had pretty much unanimous choices. No disagreements here. So I'll just run through them pretty quick because they're offensive linemen. They're a bit tougher to talk about. But
I was gonna say I tried being different, brother, but I just could not.
Yeah, man. There's only so much information you can find.
I was so trying to be like, I got this, and I was like,
yeah.
Nope. Carter says it best. I'm just going to go with him.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's tough. It's tough. And even the choices that I make are very much open to suggestions. And I'm not going to have Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, and he's not going to be on the first team. The first team is going to be a guy that I think will be unanimous first team all pro. I think he was, or if he wasn't, it would surprise me, but he was definitely a first team all pro guy. But second team, Jordan Mailata at left tackle, at left guard, Quentin Nelson. He was outstanding for the Colts. Aaron Brewer for the Dolphins at center. He was kind of the biggest surprise for me looking at this because looking at tape and looking at numbers and all that stuff, because the Dolphins run game was just actually really good this year for having such awful quarterback play and having so much tumultuous situations around that and the passing game, no Tyreek Hill, all that stuff. Yet Aaron Brewer was like a weapon. Like they would just pull him around on these run concepts to the outside, and he would be clearing space for Devon Achane. And Devon Achane, another running back that we didn't mention, but he had a great year too. But Aaron Brewer was a big part of that. He was a big reason why Achane had such a good season. Then Chris Lindstrom, right guard, he plays for the Falcons. He had another great year. He's kind of a stalwart at the right guard position. You can kind of pencil him in at first and second team. And then right tackle, Darnell Wright from the Bears, committed more penalties than you probably like to see. He had 11, which isn't great, but he played every game. He was healthy, and he was top 10 in overall PFF grade. His improvement this year was a massive reason why the Bears offense was able to take the leap that they did. They also signed Joe Thuney, who we will get to also on the first team. Darnell Wright being able to play out there as much as he did and as well as he did was really impressive. So, shout out the offensive linemen. I know it's kind of tough to evaluate their position sometimes because they only really get shout outs when they're doing something wrong. If they're doing their job, they're not getting talked about. But I still wanted to give them some love because, man, they do some great things there too. But if you're looking for sort of the Darnell Wright, if you're looking to improve your wardrobe, if you're looking for that type of improvement, then head to shop.rblrsports.com. We've got some great Tampa Bay sports gear for you there. We'll give a promo code that's Cannon, CANNONS. We're in the draws of the off season. So type that bad boy in, get 10% off your entire order. We'd really appreciate it. It's a way to support the podcast. But now we're shifting our focus to the other side of the ball. And this one is really fun. I always have a lot of fun with the defensive side of the ball because especially on the defensive line, and we'll get into the secondary and linebackers as well, because there are a lot of great players there too. But starting with probably one of the most important positions on this list, the edge rushers. And this is going to be fun because we've got some disagreement. We've got a little bit of variety here. I went with Aiden Hutchinson and Micah Parsons. I don't know. Micah Parsons should probably be a first-team guy, but he got hurt, and that's unfortunately that kind of impacted that. And him and Will Anderson, who's surprise going to be on my first team, kind of interchangeable for me. But Anderson's just been so crazy. He was just such a big part of why the Houston Texans were able to kind of just like line up on defense and just say, "Hey, screw you, we're better than you." And Will Anderson was a big part of the reason why. So Aiden Hutchinson and Mike Parsons are my second team edge guys. We only went with two. Zach, who you got for your edge?
So I also have Micah Parsons, mostly because I think I'm going Hutchinson on my first team.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I love it.
So I've got Micah Parsons and Nick Bonito.
Yes, he was outstanding. He was just
so good in Denver, and kind of as one of the only super effective edge rushers in Denver, which is kind of more impressive to me.
Right.
I've got him with a 17% win rate, 17+% win rate on rushes this year. All around, I think that he just played a great defensive, not that he wasn't good before, but it just sort of popped out to me more this year because I believe this is his first year on Denver, or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I
think he was drafted by Denver, but this is the first year where I think he got consistent playing.
Yeah. And so I'm giving him my edge. I mean, there was a few. Will Anderson, obviously, first team level guy, but then Joey Bosa had a really good year.
Yeah,
Hunter had a really good year. This was such a close race for me, but it stood out more to me because of the fact that he's not played at necessarily this level so far in his career. And that's why I'm giving it to him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, like I said, with the wide receiver room, the edge rush room is very similar. You're kind of going 10 deep with this list of guys that could theoretically be on the second team and maybe even the first team, frankly. A lot of these guys had outstanding years. So, I love the Nick Bonito shout out. I'm glad someone found a spot for him because he definitely deserves some love. He had an outstanding season. But Mr. Tariq, who you got for the two edge rushers on this second team?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got Aiden Hutchinson as well, and I got Danielle Hunter. Aiden Hutchinson, just absolute, just animal, double-digit sacks. The post-injury, just nonstop motor, and just, he just has not slowed down or doesn't show any signs. And then with Danielle Hunter, just the Texans. He's a big factor in that Texans defense. 15 sacks. One of the top, win rates and just mad explosive. So, him and Will Anderson were just wreaking havoc. I, didn't see it too long ago because my buddy, or not my buddy, well, he's my buddy too, my cousin and my buddy, both Steelers fans, were excited to see them face the Texans. But I warned them. I said, hey, man, don't.
Can't sleep on them.
I understand you're excited and, you want to hammer Steelers money line, but, newsflash, Texans defense is it's nasty, dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter? Well, you'll learn soon.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And sure enough, they did. It's so bonkers that the Texans had two guys. Daniil Hunter could have absolutely made this list for me too. And him and Will Anderson. I mean, they're just both such monsters on the edge. I'll be really curious to see who's y'all's first team's guys are, because man, Zach, if you're saying like you were saying that Aiden Hutchinson's on your first team, so does that mean Will Anderson is your other first team guy, or is it the guy that I think everyone?
Well, no. So I say that, and then I start thinking, I'm like, well, nope, because then Myles Garrett's not in there.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Anderson's 100% in my first team. So Hutchinson might just miss the list, in all honesty.
I know.
And looking back on it now, I regret putting Nick Bonito in there.
No. I can't. No. If you switch out Nick Bonito for Hutchinson, I'll switch out Hutchinson for Bonito. I wanted Bonito to make this list somehow.
And I don't. It's not a regret thing. Like, I think he deserves second team. He played phenomenally this year. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that Hutchinson doesn't make the list, because, like my list, because he is so good. But there's just so many good pass rushers this year.
Yeah.
And none of them are on Tampa. Crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But
a little.
I do think that if any of us don't have Myles Garrett in there, you're a lunatic, respectfully.
We'll see. I'd imagine that doesn't turn out to be the case. But surprise, or I guess spoiler alert, the Bucs didn't make a second or a first team for me.
No, me neither.
They didn't have a single player on either one, and I think that might be something that we all agree upon, unfortunately. But that shifts us to the focus of the only position that I think that maybe I even considered Buccaneer for, which was Vita Vea. He could have made it, but unfortunately just didn't quite have the production that these two guys did. And we're unanimous here as well, so we won't get too deep into it. But Zach Allen and Kobe Turner, they were both top 2 in total pressures. But there are 2 other guys that weren't necessarily up there in that regard, but they were so dominant in the run game that they were the other 2 guys for the first team. And we'll get to them next week. Zach Allen and Kobe Turner, really, really good stuff. And then interior linebacker, we had Devin Lloyd and Jack Campbell, another unanimous decision on our part. Jack Campbell, best run defender at linebacker in the NFL, but kind of middle of the pack in terms of
one of my favorite linebackers in the NFL.
Yeah, he's great. Really, really outstanding stuff. When the Lions picked him and Gibbs in the first round, there was kind of a lot of questions about, position fit, like, hey, drafting a linebacker and a running back in the first round, that's kind of tough. Jack Campbell, one of the best linebackers in football. So, they hit on that pick, which is really impressive. Because if he did not hit, that would have been ugly. That would have been a missed opportunity for sure. But instead, Jack Campbell, he's a stud. He's great. And Devin Lloyd, one of the best in coverage, kind of the inverse of Jack Campbell, one of the best in coverage and fine against the run. So those are our inside linebackers. And now it gets to outside corner, which we have a lot of conversation about this because, Zach Blaine, former high school corner, knows a lot about the position. I'd love to hear your insight on this because we have some disagreement, but you had some great shout outs on this. But I went with Mike Jackson out of Carolina, him and J.C. Horn. Either one of them could have made the list for me. But he was very underrated because J.C. Horn is immediately where people go to, and understandably so. Like J.C. Horn, one of the best cornerbacks in football. But, teams were targeting Mike Jackson because of that, and he was holding up. He was really, really good this year. And then Quinion Mitchell, he was the other guy. He had a great season in Philly, 9th in snaps per reception, second lowest passer rating allowed when targeted. He was outstanding on the outside. So those are my 2 guys. Zach Blaine, who you got for your 2 second team outside corners?
I went J.C. Horn for the same reasons you went with Hilton. I wanted Hilton, but you had taken him, and I was like, well, the Panthers, both corners deserve to be on a list. They both played very, very well. I do think that him being the number 1 corner there in Carolina is the reason I took him, but also the reason why Mike Hilton probably deserves it more because he was targeted more than Horn. I mean, that's a given, and he played phenomenally. But I do think that those 2 are kind of interchangeable as far as like just play wise, not necessarily like who was targeted more. My second one, I got Nahshon Wright out of Oregon State. No, honestly, with the Bears, he led the league in interceptions, 9th in corners for solo tackles, 11th with assisted tackles, 2nd with forced fumbles. And I know that we don't technically count this in the decision making, but he had a great playoff.
I get you.
All around, he was the 11th 11th in receptions allowed, like with 53. All around, I just really think that he played a great season, and another guy that a lot of people haven't heard of. Obviously, me being an Oregon State fan, like a huge fan of him, but his whole story, like he came up through the JUCO route. He went to, I want to say, Eastern Mississippi or something like that. He was on the show. What was that?
Last Chance U.
Last Chance U. Like he was a stud, and he went and played at Oregon State for I want to say 2 seasons, and then has made his way kind of through the league. Like he's played on 3 or 4 teams now. And I just think that seeing him, he's been on 3 teams, Dallas, Minnesota, and Chicago now. Seeing him step up and play so well is what gave him my second team vote.
Yeah, man. I'm glad someone found a spot for him because, it's tough to not have the interceptions leader on these lists. I'm with you. And the Bears had a pretty decent defense this past season. They really – they were solid, and Nashawn Wright, a big reason why. So, love that we gave him some spotlight here. We saw Tariq. Who did you have for your 2 outside corners? Anyone different from our list?
No, I honestly, I like all y'all's guys. I had Quinion Mitchell, and then I was just gonna say, I mean, J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson, both real great choices. I will have to say, I mean, Mike Jackson, I just saw a little bit more action just with my own eyes as well. So I want to show him some love out there. But man.
Yeah, no, those are 2 solid choices because those are the guys that I picked. Then we'll shift to the nickel position. I wanted to separate nickel from outside on these lists because when you're talking about cornerbacks in general, you can kind of lump these guys together and they're not really playing the same position, right? They're playing 2 separate things, like nickel position, very different responsibilities, very different skill set than outside corner. I mean, very different. They're different. They're not very different, but there's at least, different responsibilities and all that stuff. So I went with Devin Witherspoon from Seattle. He had the best PFF coverage grade amongst all corners, including outside corners. He was outstanding. Little spoiler, Cooper DeJean, he's the first team guy for the nickel spot. We were unanimous into Devin Witherspoon, and I'm guessing that we'll be unanimous with Cooper DeJean as well, because Cooper DeJean played way more games than Witherspoon. Witherspoon missed some time, but he was still elite when he was playing. So, that's our nickel guy. And then that brings us to safeties. We're going to round out. We're not touching special teams, but we did want to give some safeties some love. And I had Antonio Johnson from Jacksonville. Jacksonville was surprisingly very good defensively. I know Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence gets all the attention, and rightfully so, but their defense was very good.
Defense was so solid.
Yeah, very, very good. They obviously have Allen and Walker on the edge rush, but they've got some good secondary players as well. So Johnson had one of the highest PFF coverage grades amongst safeties, and he had a solid interception total too. And then my other guy was Xavier McKinney. He's just a very, very overall good safety. He's very good against the pass, and he's very good against the run as well. He's an excellent and very important piece of that Packers defense. So wanted to give Xavier McKinney a shout out. But Zach Lane, who did you have for your 2 safeties on the second team?
I went Brian Branch as my first one. Led the safeties in sacks with 3. No interceptions, but he still played great. 4th in pass breakups. 17 assisted tackles with 61 solo tackles. Like, dude just kind of played his mind out. I think that the first team is going to be interesting because I honestly felt like he could have made a push for that as well.
Yeah.
And then my second one, I'm not going to lie to you. Hazel agrees. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how to say his name. Talanoa Hufungo out of Denver. Another guy with a good effort at getting to the quarterback. He may not have had – I don't know that he had any sacks. But he had 2 sacks, tied for 9th. Just a guy who I felt like was everywhere anytime it mattered, if that makes sense. Like, this was more of a watching the game, not necessarily statistics.
Sure. No.
All-pro vote for me. I just think that watching Denver play, he was kind of like that heartbeat of the defense coming from San Francisco to Denver. Another new guy here, like, just played phenomenal to me. I will say I almost had a Buck here.
Oh, almost.
And it's not Antoine Winfield.
Wow, you almost went Tyke, huh?
I almost went Tyke Smith.
Love it. Yeah.
And I don't think Musa picked him, but just to give him a little bit of love, he was solid this year. Like,
Yeah, no, he was very good.
he was second or tied for 9th with sacks. He had an interception. He had 6. He was 4th in the league for safeties and pass breakups. Like, he played very, very well. Unfortunately, the bad parts were kind of bad. Like, he allowed 118.5 passer rating. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't get past that to put him on the list, but this was probably the closest to a Buck being on this list for me.
Yeah, I love Talanoa. He's on my first team. I would have.
That's such a fair, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I would have included him in the second team, but like I was like, this guy's too good. This guy's insane.
Agreed 100%.
The fact that the Broncos were able to pick him up in the offseason while also already having such a good defense with, the corners that they have, and man, just really, really insane stuff from Denver, doubling down on their defensive strength, and yeah, they saw the rewards for sure. Mr. Tariq, did you have any other safeties that you wanted to shout out for your team on the second team all RBLR safety position?
No, man, I just want to. Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, I had McKinney as well as I think. I'm going to try to pronounce his name as well. Talanoa Hufanga was a close one. I'm going to sneak him in, up in the first team. And I actually wanted to give a shout out to Kevin Biard from the Bears.
Oh yeah,
he
for
had
the Bears.
He had an absolutely outstanding season. Man, racked up 7 interceptions, was doing everything he could. I mean, racking up tackles here and there, everywhere. Yeah, man, I think he just, deserves some love out there, especially being that the Bears just, have gone through their own ups and downs. So it's refreshing to see, they got a good safety in their team. So yeah, man. But first team ought to be fun.
Yeah, the first team is going to be really interesting. I think we're going to have a lot of different names, especially at these contentious positions. The safety spot that we just talked about, it's going to have a lot.
Just makes it so interesting to to start out with the second, because you're like, well,
I know really that's kind of what made it
fun, because then once you put them down, like for example, the edge rushers, I think that was probably the hardest one. It was like,
I know,
like, wait. And then you're thinking about the other guys who are like, wait, actually, maybe he could go to first, and then
right,
second. So
yeah, that's what I thought was making this exercise so much fun, is that we kind of you wanted to pick great players and you wanted to pick guys that were deserving, but you also had to hold some in reserve. It's a really interesting exercise. So I think next week is going to be a really fun episode, and stay tuned for that, and hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. We're nearing the end of our episode. If you want to be reminded that our first team episode is going to be next week, we'd really appreciate it. You can also give us a follow at RBLR Bucs or at RBLR Sports. We've got great content coming out across the channel. So really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you to my 2 wonderful co-hosts for making my job incredibly easy. And for now, and as always, and until next week, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.